My name is Yurou. Today, Wilbur and I will be delivering our end of quarter presentation for Group Food System 6. We're excited to give you an update on what we have worked on this quarter. To start, an overview. Food System 6 is a nonprofit organization that focuses on supporting the transition within the food and agricultural system to become more sustainable, equitable, and resilient. Specifically, the transition involves pivoting from conventional poultry farming to regenerative poultry farming. Regenerative farming is currently severely underfunded and underdeveloped, which makes an industry-wide shift hard to facilitate. To see a quick comparison between conventional and regenerative poultry farming, you could see on the bottom of this slide that conventional farming have the advantage of being a much more established and provides more stable funding sources and infrastructure for the farmers. It also provides a more guaranteed income and path to market for any farmers that enters into deals with large agricultural corporations. However, these large farming conglomerates oftentimes force farmers into deals that afford them very little degrees of freedom, which forces them to make decisions that sometimes leaves negative environmental impacts on their own farmlands. Regenerative poultry farming, on the other hand, provides farmers with more independence and allows them to do what's right for their own land. On this slide, you could see a breakdown of our project workflow. On the right side, you can see that we started out by comparing the two farming systems between regenerative and conventional. We move on and settled on developing an interactive choose-your-own-adventure game format that simulate both types of poultry farming to convey the information. Next, we moved on to develop specific flowcharts to better clarify the storyline and underlying logic for each game character. And lastly, on a technical side, we used Django and Python to fully implement the game. Our end goal is, of course, to implement an engaging game that communicates the real-life challenges faced by the regenerative farmers compared to the conventional farmers under existing frameworks. And the deliverable will be this choose-your-own-adventure game with 3 distinct player types that is fully integrated with the Food System 6 existing website. On this slide, you can see a framework of our game setup. So first, you start out with an introduction question, asking each player to decide their archetype. So we have a new farmer that could be either conventional or regenerative, and a switching farmer, which means a third-generation conventional farmer hoping to transition part of their business into regenerative poultry farming. You can see the 3 unique player types as highlighted by the bubble. Next, we move on to a set of financing questions that asks the player what kind of deals they would like to enter into. The type of questions that regenerative and conventional farmers face will be different to reflect the real-world challenges faced by the regenerative farmers. After you navigate all those questions, the farming setup will be complete. And then we would begin cycles of random events and payout events. On the next slide, I will get into a little bit more what those specific terms mean. So random events are based on real-life events that regenerative and conventional farmers might face. We create these random event prompts based on real-life news clippings and footnotes. These random events will have varying probabilities of occurrence, and their effects on the financial conditions and farm resilience of different farmers will also be different. These multiple groups of random events is tailored to fit into different points of the storyline, these cycles of random events will happen after the initial game setup that we went through on the last slide. On the right side, you can see a few examples of the random events. Sometimes you can have a good year in which there is no negative impact. But you can also get these natural disaster random events such as tornado, flood, cold snap, and fire that will have negative financial impacts on the player's game progress. So 2 more terms to explain here. So financial health is a tracker that we've developed to represent the player's financial stability and their debt management capabilities. Different farming type and character will have unique financial health levels, reflecting on how well they have managed to navigate the random event challenges. The same goes for farm resilience. This tracker represents the farm's ability to recover from adversity and maintain long-term sustainability and operational goals. Similarly, it is also influenced by random events and will have varying impacts depending on the game's character.
Next, I'll explain how the storyline developed in our game. After the game setup, player will receive financial health and farm resilience scores. These scores started full when the player begins the game. As the game continues, these scores will change, they increase or decrease based on random events and the player's choices. During random event 1, one event will be drawn from a pool that matches the player's character type. The event is not reused once chosen, and the player will go through 3 rounds of random events. In each round, the game checks the scores. If either scores reaches 0, the game ends. The player's target is to survive through all 3 rounds. And after all random events and during the payout session, players can sell their birds and receive payment. The chance of a successful sale depends on the player's farm type and character as well. At the end of the game, if farm resilience scores exceed a specific threshold, the player earns the achievement badge based on their farm type and character. And now, I will show you some screenshot of our game demo. We'll begin on the main web page where we'll click Start Game, and after clicking Start Game, we are redirected to the first stage of our game. So you can see at the top of the screen, you will see the game progress bar, which shows the timeline of the game. The player, represented by this farmer figure, start at the start point and work towards the game setup stage. And after completing that stage, the farm move forward to the next section, like from game setup to random event 1. As the game continues, the progress bar update to show the timeline. And next, on the left, you will see the achievement badge tracker. It updates whenever a badge is earned. So there are 3 types of badge in total, which I will show later. And for each farm type and character, if the player's financial health or farm resilience score exceeds a certain threshold, they earn a badge. And the system encourages players to try different characters and farm type. If a player doesn't earn any badge, the tracker will simply show an empty badge stock. And on the right, there's a game progress section. It updates as the player makes choices and decisions during the game setup, such as choosing a character. This section helps player remember their selections. And in the middle, we'll find the main gameplay area. It displays the question, answer choices, event image, and the footnote section. The questions are based on real-world scenarios that the farmer may face and help advance the gameplay. And then the player is given several choices, and the game progress is also based on the player's selection. And different choices will lead to different storylines. Well, each question is paired with a different image to enhance the visual experience and make the game more engaging. And on this slide, you can see the footnote section. It records all the material that we collect during the earlier phase of this project. This ensures that all the information in the question and answer is supported by real-life statistics. And this screenshot shows a game phase that appears after the game setup session. The layout is very similar to the game setup phase, so it shows the random event, and in this example, the event shows a fire that negatively impacts the farming. And finally, this screenshot shows the end of the game. It displays a summary of the player's final scores, character type, and any achievement badge earned. In total, there are 3 types of badge that the player can receive. You can check at the left. And in conclusion, our project created both detailed and simplified storylines for the logic of the simulation game for each character. We also implemented scalable framework for game using Django and HTML, and we also developed the logic such as random event, a financial health and farm resilience tracker, and timeline in order to measure success and track the passage of time within the game, as well as the achievement badge system to encourage players to try different characters. And for the next quarter in the future, we can continue to enhance game content by adding more details, such as the event content, probabilities, and effect in collaboration with the external mentor. We can also develop new random events that better reflect the reality. So that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.